Cutting down a tree is one of those things that elicits very mixed reactions. And it certainly wasn't easy for us to decide to cut down this tree, but practically speaking, we know that it's going to be the right decision. And I've talked about this in my other videos, but just for a brief recap, this is a silver maple, which is a species that often requires a lot of maintenance when it's growing close to a house or a building, because their wood rots very quickly. And in severe weather, they can suffer a lot of storm damage. And since it's such a big tree, they can also cause a lot of storm damage. So they're very risky to have growing close to houses where people are around and other things of value. So after having several arborists come out and take a look at our trees, they all agreed that this one had a lot of serious warning signs. And it was not an immediate concern, but there was a lot of risk that it could eventually cause a lot more problems. So we just decided we have the money to do it now. We should probably do it, because we certainly don't want this to cause any damage to our home or our neighbors' homes, or potentially hurt someone very seriously. But we will be using as much as we possibly can from this tree once it's cut down, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. But for now, I just want to take a moment to pay my respects to this tree as a living thing that has been part of this whole ecosystem for its entire 50 years of life now. It's provided habitat for birds and other wildlife. It's provided shade for the house. It's given us fall leaves, helped to fertilize this whole area. We've used it a lot in the garden. But now it's time to say goodbye to this tree and say thank you for all that it has brought to this world in its lifetime. just like that, it's done. That makes a huge difference back here. It's gonna take some getting used to for sure. So I also want to say thank you to the crew that came out here and did this. I'm sure some of them are watching right now, as they obviously knew I was making a video, and they did an amazing job with this, especially with all of our garden stuff we had out here. We were one of those pain in the butt clients with all this crap to watch out for, but yeah, they got over this. They maneuvered in here somehow and set it up so it just barely fit, and we're able to get to the tree. But yeah, great work, everybody. And I also want to say too that if you're looking to have a tree removed like this, you know, some big job, definitely make sure that you find an arborist that is certified and insured and has great ratings, because this is incredibly dangerous work. And you want to be sure that it's going to get done safely and correctly. I mean, you can find thousands of videos on YouTube right now of what happens when people don't know what they're doing. They think they do, but yeah, it's very dangerous. So do your research, find a crew or an individual that you can trust, and that's going to be insured for, you know, in case anything does actually happen, they're covered for it. So it's a pretty overcast day. It's hard to tell right now, but we are getting so much more sun back here, which is great. We are going to be kind of shifting the vegetable garden over to this area, because as I've talked about in my other food forest video, how we only get at most about 5 hours of sun on that end of the garden and about 3.5 over here. So that's not even close to enough. But I've been tracking the sun over here now. We start getting a strip all along close to the fence pretty early. There it goes. Now it's starting to come out a little. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon right now, but when the sun comes up, east is that way, the shadow from the garage recedes. That's all gone by about 8:30. So everything's in full sun, and that lasts until about 2:30. We start getting some shade over here from the neighbor's trees and our other tree here. But we still get quite a bit actually close to the fence there. So if we can set up our vertical trellises to grow tomatoes and things, that would be so much better. I think it's about at least 8 hours of sun that we get mostly back there, and we get close to that all throughout here. So more fruit trees, blueberries, cherries, you know, we could do so much more with this. Kind of overwhelmed with trying to come up with some plans for that right now. So I've already been kind of organizing some of these logs into separate piles, and many of you already have an idea of what that might be for. No, I'm not going to be making any wicker furniture. I don't think silver maple would be good for that, plus it's not 1980 anymore. But you are right, I am going to be making some hugelkultur beds. If you don't know much about that already, I'm sure a lot of you do, but it's kind of a new thing. Even though the method is very old, it's kind of becoming more well-known now. So basically you're just burying logs and other organic matter in the soil, piling soil on top of that, and then growing in that soil. So as all of this wood and organic matter decomposes, it soaks up a lot of water and releases nutrients into the soil. It's very fascinating. I love the idea. I have been wanting to try this for a long time, so we're definitely going to try this now that we have all of this wood. One very important thing to note about that, however, is that this is obviously all fresh cut wood. With hugelkultur, you usually want to use wood that has already been dead and rotting for at least a year or more, because as the wood decomposes, it locks up nitrogen in the soil. So by using wood that's already been decomposing, a lot of that process has already taken place, and it's to the point where if it's buried in the soil, it will actually be releasing a lot of nutrients. So by using fresh wood, we will actually be locking up that nitrogen for a period in the beginning. So it's maybe not ideal, but it doesn't mean that we can't use this wood at all, or that we shouldn't. We really want to get these beds set up, so we might as well do it. And besides, if we're building them now, we won't be planting anything in them until next year. Even then, it may still have a little trouble getting started at first, but it will only get better after that as more of this decomposes and those nutrients are fertilizing the soil. So also my thought was, in the beginning, we could build these mounds and even plant some nitrogen fixing cover crops over the top to at least get some nitrogen into the topsoil, and then just let that die and decompose over the winter, and then even throw some wood chips over the top. And by the spring, they should be good to plant in. Again, it might not be amazing at first. We'll just see how that goes, but it will get better. So really excited about doing this. The method that we're going to have to use, since we don't want to buy any soil, have to bring it in from anywhere else, that means it's going to be a bit more work, but we will have to dig out where we want the beds to go, and then bury the wood, and then put that soil back on top. So yeah, that's going to be tough, but I will be making some videos about that. It's a bit of work initially, but that's what we have to do. It's going to save us a lot of money from not having to buy any soil from anywhere, and I think it should work really well. And now we have this beautiful stump left in the middle, and so we're not going to worry about trying to get rid of this really. It's kind of a nice little centerpiece for the whole garden area. We can work that into this design. I'd like to even cut out some of the wood in the middle to put some soil in there and make a little planter, and plant some flowers and things in there and make that look real nice for the centerpiece. And we could also do the same thing with some of these other shorter log pieces that are cut. We have plenty of these here. We can just make these into some planters. Dig out some of the wood in the middle, put in soil, plant herbs, flowers, whatever, and just kind of, set those around wherever, make a nice little arrangement. And a lot of this other wood, of course, we are going to use for firewood. That burning the wood is, of course, releasing a lot of this carbon into the atmosphere then. So, it's nice. We have a wood stove downstairs, so of course we're going to be using some of this to help keep us warm, save on heating costs during the winter. But some of it I would like to just burn in a fire pit out here, so we've got some wood ash that I can then bring back out to the garden, put it in the soil, depending on what we're growing there. Some things don't really need or like having that potassium boost from wood ash, but for a lot of things it can actually help a lot as a fertilizer. And of course we got a lot more mulch. This is not even all of it. There's still more in the driveway that I'm moving back here, but this is from the ends of the branches. A lot of brush, a lot of the leaves went in here, a lot of green matter. So this is cooking with gas now. This is really heating up even better than our actual compost pile. So I will let this continue to break down. I've been kind of stirring it, adding some water in there. I'll turn that into compost. We definitely need that. So there you have it. It's really sad to see this beautiful tree go, especially when we had to make the decision to end its life early. But we are paying our respects by doing everything we can to return this tree to the soil from whence it came, and do our part to grow some food, attract more pollinators, and generally improve our little corner of the world here that we call a backyard. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and if it was, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you're not already subscribed, please do so. for more videos like this and you can see what else happens with all of this. Thanks, stay safe, I'll see you next time.